the truth is that ag country is heavily impacted by this. This mass deportation plan is having a huge impact on the ability of farmers in my state to be able to get access to labor. And I'm talking about people who are here legally.
Why? Said Biden didn't enforce.
And Mr. Secretary, it is reprehensible
Senator,
that you
your
would
time is
blame
up.
Alex Pretti, a U.S. citizen, for his own death shot in the back by these federal agents.
Never blame.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Secretary, would you consider food and ag to be an important part of the U.S. economy?
Extremely.
Thank you. I agree with you on that. The U.S. food and ag sector is a massive economic force, contributing over $9.5 trillion, supporting over 24 million jobs. So, Mr. Chair, what I'd like to do is to submit a letter for the record. This is a letter sent on Tuesday to the ag committees in both the House and the Senate. It's signed by 27 former and current leaders in the ag sector from all across the country. It's a very bipartisan letter. Folks from corn, pork, milk, grains, renewable fuels, Farm Bureau, former USDA officials from both Democratic and Republican administrations.
Without objection.
Thank you. Secretary Bessent, as you no doubt know, and as this letter points out, farm bankruptcies have doubled. Barely half of all farms are profitable this year. The U.S. is running an historic agriculture trade deficit, which is a sharp reversal from record surpluses. And farmers are paying higher prices for everything, from health care to farm inputs, grocery, and utility bills. And I want to just read you a piece of this letter, which says, consider the impact of the China trade war on soybeans alone. In 2018, when the China tariffs were initially proposed, whole U.S. soybean exports represented 47% of the world market. Today, it's down to just 24.4%. The letter goes on. So, Secretary Bessent, my question for you is, when can farmers expect this turbulence and this chaos to stop and input prices to begin to stabilize or at least come down for them?
Well, Senator, as you know, input prices spiked under the Biden administration. And
Secretary Bessent, when can we expect?
Again, it's market-based. And as someone who, until the end of last year, was involved in the ag sector, I can tell you it was a record harvest. So it is a problem of abundance, but costs are up. We are working to bring the costs down.
Input costs are up, I believe, Mr. Secretary, in large part because tariffs are driving those costs up. And this is causing massive uncertainty and chaos in the farm sector, which is really hurting many farmers in my state and around the country.
Senator, it was very unfortunate that the Chinese decided to use our grape farmers, soybean farmers, as a pawn in trade negotiations. We have the administration's come out with a $12 billion package, and we have guarantees from the Chinese. They bought $12 billion of soybeans just since October. They are committed to buying, not 12 million tons. They will buy 25 million tons for the next 3 years to stabilize the market.
But what is happening for farmers in Minnesota is this constant on again, off again, tariffs on, tariffs off. It is chaotic, it is confusing, and it is destroying our markets. And so
it has nothing to do with the tariffs on.
Well, I think it has a lot to do, and these farmers, sir, believe that it has a lot to do with Trump tariff policy. I want to just, Mr. Chair, if I may, before I close, I want to link this conversation to some of the challenges that are happening in the ag sector and the larger economic challenges in Minnesota caused by the immigration action that is happening in Minnesota right now. Because the truth is that ag country is heavily impacted by this. This mass deportation plan is having a huge impact on the ability of farmers in my state to be able to get access to labor. And I'm talking about people who are here legally. And I know that my colleagues on both sides of the aisle that represent farm country understand you are hearing this from your farmers and ranchers as well. And it is having huge impacts on dairy and fruit and veggies. It is a major problem, not just in the farm sector, but all across my state, where just in Minneapolis alone, separate from agriculture, small businesses are losing an estimated $20 million a week because of customers just not being able to show up, being afraid, workers being unable to go to work because they're afraid of going out. The bottom line here, colleagues, is that this mass deportation plan was supposed to go after the worst of the worst, but what's really happening is that these poorly trained and aggressive agents are breaking families apart. They are hurting children. They are separating from their families. They are targeting and detaining and arresting people that have done nothing wrong, and that is morally reprehensible. And Mr. Secretary, it is reprehensible
Senator,
that
your
you
time is
blame
up.
Alex Pretti, a U.S. citizen, for his own death, shot in the back by these federal
Senator,
agents.
Never blame
your time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to just respectfully respond to my colleague and give you an opportunity to actually respond as well, Mr. Secretary. When I look back over the last 4 years of the Biden administration, it was failed policies for our agriculture industry. Number one, President Biden walked away from the trade deals and the trade gains that President Trump had gotten for our ag industry. Number two, with record high inflation, it hit our farmers worse than anyone. Both the war on energy of the Biden administration, plus the amount and the payment of equipment, plus the fact that input cost had literally been frozen, and the Biden administration failed to pass a farm bill, didn't even try. So here you had record high cost with energy, equipment, labor, inflation, and then you cap what they can make. And I don't remember one person on the other side of the aisle saying, let's move a farm bill. Let's help these people. Let's drive down energy cost. And so I would just like to say, Mr. Secretary, I feel like our ag industry is at the forefront of what we're looking at right now, and I would like to give you an opportunity to respond.
Well, one of the things I will respond to is that in my first meeting with my Chinese counterpart, the vice premier, I asked him, under the phase one purchase agreements, they were actually exceeded in 2020, signed in January 2020. The level of the agreement was exceeded every time President Trump has spoken with Party Chair Xi. He suggested he buys more soybeans, and slowly that tapered off. And we said, why? He said, Biden didn't enforce. Biden didn't enforce the purchase agreements.
Yeah, walked away from it. So speaking of something else we walked away from in the Biden administration was actually being tough on Iran when it came to sanctions. I appreciate the maximum pressure strategy that President Trump has gone back to. I'd like to ask you, what more can we be doing as we see us place pressure on the Ayatollah, who is no friend of the United States of America, and as we see what he is doing to the citizens of his own country and the streets? What more can we be doing to make sure that we are placing the pressure that we need to on the greatest state sponsor of terrorism, and that is the Ayatollah and Iran?
Well, what we can do at Treasury, and what we have done is created a dollar shortage in the country. At a speech at the Economic Club of New York in March, I outlined the strategy. It came to a swift and I would say grand culmination in December, when one of the largest banks in Iran went under. There was a run on the bank. The central bank had to print money. The Iranian currency went into free fall. Inflation exploded, and hence we have seen the Iranian people out on the street. We will continue monitoring all the partners, all the Iranian partners. The good news, Senator, is that we have seen, and we can see it with our fencing, we have seen the Iranian leadership wiring money out of the country like crazy. So the rats are leaving the ship, and that is a good sign that they know the end may be near.
I want to switch quickly to regulatory tailoring. It is obviously my belief that proper tailoring actually ensures that supervision is grounded in economic reality rather than subject ideology. Can you speak a little bit to the work that you and IFSOC agencies are doing to more properly calibrate our regulatory framework, whether it's capital rules or stress testing or even adjusting to outdated thresholds?
We are looking at all the thresholds. One thing that happened too big to fail became too small to succeed, as Senator Hagerty said. And we don't want to see more of our small banks go under. What we want to see before the great financial crisis and this excessive regulation on the system was we would see about 50 new banks formed every year, by definitionally small banks, and we need to get back to doing that. We need to get back to small banks. I was talking to a community banker, 17 employees, 3 compliance people.
And last, I've got 30 seconds, but there have been claims made by the other side of the aisle, even tweets put out. I can provide that for you if you need that. But some pretty serious accusations, and saying, we have a tweet actually from the ranking member that says, and I want you to be able to correct the record if this is true, but essentially claims that the IRS has gutted enforcement and dismantled the DOJ or forced tax fraud investigators to actually stop doing their job. Does that have any legitimacy at all? Because I think that gives us all concern if that's the truth.
Complete sophistry. We've identified $10 billion in tax crimes, up 15% from 2024, $4.5 billion tax fraud, up 110% from last year.
Thank you.